You're looking at the president and the vice president of the fan club for Scott Larson. Hold on to your pencils with all your questions. You're about to watch the Hashtag Truth with Scott Larson. Don't miss a minute.
Watch it all fall down around you now. Was it ever really worth it? Having your kingdom crumble to the ground because you never had the courage. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up.
I can't believe I just did that. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hashtag Truth. Tonight, we're going to do something a little different. You see, we're having a little technical difficulties getting Chris Thunder Anderson on the phone, but guess what? Never fear, there's still going to be an interview. How you doing, Mr. Chris Thunder Anderson?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I am doing great. We've got Mr. Chris Thunder Anderson live on the phone. We're going to be talking to him about a slew of things. But the first thing I want to say right off the bat is I cannot wait until the Bunkhouse Stampede, where you are going for the NAWA Heavyweight Championship, correct?
Yes, and I can't wait till we get internet at our house that you can rely on.
That's right, Blake. That's right. We're gonna. What company do you go through, or do you not want to say?
Well, right now we're kind of in limbo because we're where we just moved to. You know, we
I
just
got
moved
you.
about a month or
Right.
so ago, and where we're at now, we're out of range of Spectrum, and Charter don't come this way, and everybody else just kind of like stops 2 miles short from the house. So we're not covered with the T-Mobile stuff, the stuff that we've got. It's like the prepaid stuff because that's all we can find in our area, and it's
Right.
just a mess. So we're not able to sustain nothing.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you thought about the call-in part of my show, man, because I'm really glad you came in some way, fashion, or form, because there's a lot of things going on at the Stampede, including your match. Are you going to be part of the over-the-top battle royal, the Stampede itself?
As of right now, my name's in the hat, but now whether I'm actually wound up in it or not, it depends on if I survive the match with Big Donnie.
I got you. I mean, that's going to be a huge match. I'm going to show it up on the screen. NAWA presents the 7th annual Bunkhouse Stampede, Saturday, January 14th at the American Legion Hall, 401 West Main Street Northwest, Lenore, North Carolina. Doors open 6 p.m. Bell time 7. Adults $10 at the door. Kids 6 to 12 $5, and kids under 6 get in free with a paid adult. And we're looking right at it. Texas bull rope match. Tell me, Chris, how did this come about, man? How did it come about with Big Donnie that you had to go to a Texas bull rope match?
So last month at the NAWA show, Brady Hawks didn't show up. So he's as far as I'm concerned, he's a suck egg dog and he's just a chicken. So he didn't show up. So
Right.
I'm sitting in the back. Big Donnie walks by, and in typical Big Donnie fashion, looks at me. And I question, what are you looking at? And I've known Donnie for 20 years or better. We worked together. We worked against each other. I've wrestled every member of the Donnie family. Little Donnie, Big Donnie, Strong Donnie, long-haired Donnie, short Donnie, fat Donnie, skinny Donnie, Mama Donnie, all of them. As many as you can count. They're like the Dudleys. They just never run out.
I got you.
But I said, okay, well, how about giving me a shot at that title? And he was like, okay, let's do that. So we went together as the promoter and said, hey, let's do this. And so he was like, fine. So we went out. For those that will, I guess the match hasn't aired for NAWA yet, but when you see the match, you'll see it's just two guys that's been doing this forever and a day. And we just went out and beat the soup out of each other.
That's what you said in your promo. I'm going to show your promo here in a few minutes, but that's basically what you said. So is that right after your match?
Right after.
Okay. You look kind of winded in it. I'm just saying, you look
get
like
on
you had been
somebody
through a
as
fight.
big as Donnie, and you'll be winded too.
Right.
But anyway, so he cheated. I didn't win. He cheated.
Okay.
So I went to the committee and said, hey, we got to have a rematch. And I'm tired of him cheating. He tried to run away one time. That's how I lost the match, and he wouldn't get back in the ring.
Okay.
So I said, you know what? Tie us together. Do something. So we're going to be tied 12 feet apart with a good old fashioned Texas bull rope. And if those who have never seen this match or have never felt that rope, that's not a good feeling. This will be about the third or fourth one I've been in.
Just imagine in your younger days, back if you were a child of my age, back when mom and daddy could whoop you with a belt. That's exactly how it feels.
Exactly. It just weighs more.
It's just bigger and a little thicker.
They usually weigh about 8 pounds. So
right. Well, we got James Overman said good luck. Luke Fury said, Chris, I'm giving you a fair warning. If you win this match and I win the bunkhouse, I'm coming for that title. Luke Fury is mad. He is bound and determined to become the youngest NAWA heavyweight champion. He said also much love, but this Fury can and will put you down if need be. Wow, he's really going after you too now.
His mouth's bigger than the rest of
it. He has been doing that. He has been doing some talking all week. We've been covering the Bunkhouse Stampede all week, and this is going to be a great. I mean, there's a whole slew of matches. I'm going to go over that real quick right now. The Bunkhouse Stampede again is Saturday the 14th at the American Legion Hall, 401 West Main Street, Northwest Lenoir, North Carolina. You don't want to miss it. Of course, we're talking right now with Chris Thunder Anderson, who's going to be in a title match for the NAWA Championship, a Texas Bull Rope match against Big Donnie that night. There's going to be a fatal four-way elimination match for the tag team championships. The Kindred, Black Society, the Allens, and Cairo and Zay are all going to be going for that. Also, there's going to be a 6-man tag match. Dre, Big Nasty, and Matthews versus Squeaks. The kid that's been talking all week, Luke Fury, and Benj is going to be going in that one. And also, there's an NAWA TV title match. Johnny Ryder with that shotgun right arm is going after the NAWA TV title against AJ Frost. That's all going to be Saturday. And, of course, the Bunkhouse Stampede. So what if you were going to be in the Bunkhouse Stampede, Chris Thunder Anderson, what is your game plan for going into the bunkhouse?
It's with me going into the bunkhouse, it'll be just like it's been before, Scott.
Okay.
The most famous bunkhouse is, of course, the 2019 bunkhouse, when I threw out 18 guys, handed out 14 concussions, and used 17 different weapons to do it.
Wow.
And that's a running total because my kids have kept count.
Nice.
I'm the reason that now there are rules in the bunkhouse. Last year at the bunkhouse, there was no chairs allowed. That, of course, didn't stop me. Because I believe in using what's available.
That's it.
But my strategy is simple. I'm going to get in there because I'm the biggest dog in the yard. And I'm going to throw 29 other guys, or however many wind up being in the bunkhouse. I'm going to throw them all over the top rope. And then, provide. Now, I will say this. If I'm victorious in the bull rope match, there ain't a soul in that match got nothing to worry about. If I lose the bull rope match, they all better be careful because I might just show up, whether I'm invited or not.
Okay, that right there is worth the price of admission just to see what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna say it out loud right now, without a doubt. Uh, so, oh my gosh, man, Big Donnie, I just can't imagine going into the ring with this guy. He is big, but he can move for as big as he is. And if you get hit with his splash, it's all over but the crying. Are you scared of that
Make
splash?
no mistake, Scott. I hold Big Donnie with as much respect as I do anybody else. Like I said, I've known him for 20 years or better. We've been on the same side and we've been against each other. He's no fun to wrestle against. I can tell you that. But if there's anybody in the NAWA locker room that I've got respect for, it's Big Donnie. So what you're going to see out of this match is just two old boys that just know how to get it done.
I'll say one thing: he
It
does
ain't gonna
take
be
on all
pretty.
comers.
I'm
He
gonna go
has
ahead and tell
taken
you,
on
this
all
match
comers,
will not be pretty.
right? Right, and he does take on all comers. He doesn't back down from a fight. He might wiggle his way out by cheating here and there, but he never backs down from a fight.
That's right.
Without it, so oh my goodness, there's so much to unravel with all these matches, man. You see, I have a question for you. You're one of the woolly vets, as I like to call them, there at NAWA. You're looking around, you're seeing all these young kids pop up that are wrestling, the Luke Furies, the Zay Vegas, the Cairo, all these young kids coming up. What do you think about the way wrestling is going with NAWA and all these young kids? I mean, some of them are letting their mouths overload their butts, but some of them can back it up.
There's a few. Um, Not taking anything away from some of these kids. They're all new to NAWA, so they're coming in. Not necessarily invading my locker room and my territory, but whatever.
Right.
But there's some talent in that group as well. Zay Vega is a talented guy. Luke Fury, like I said, I've known this kid since he was knee high to a grasshopper. Watched the kid grow up. Um, he used to sit on my knee in the dressing room while his daddy went and wrestled, just like my son sat on Nick Fury's knee
Right.
and watched me wrestle. There's that common bond there. That's probably why he's a little bit more mouthy at me than he is anybody else. Because I put him over my knee a time or two when his daddy would.
There you go.
So he knows. There's some talent in that group that you mentioned. Cairo, I've been in the ring with. Good talent, and he's got some history. Some of these other guys, I'm new to the Allen brothers. I've seen them sparingly. Um, you know, they're a decent looking team. They're brothers, so that works always in their advantage.
Right.
And I know that from a fact. Tagged with my own brother for a while, so I know how that goes. With Blade.
It could be really good for a long time,
do
but if
think-
something happens, and those kind of make the best feuds sometimes when the brothers kind of go sideways. And then I don't want it to happen right now. The Allens are doing pretty good, but being the tag team champs and all, you can't complain. But if something goes wrong, that makes some of the best rivalries, don't it?
Oh yeah, and that happened with me and Blake as well. So when there were some matches there that could turn some stomachs because they were gruesome.
Right.
So we brothers will fight harder than anything against each other. So I hope that never happens to them, but if it does, that could be interesting to watch.
I called you the woolly vet before we started this segment right here, and Charles King said he is woolly.
I know Charles King well, and he looks more woolly than I'll ever be.
He's definitely not looking on top of your head, is he, Chris?
No, listen, I've known Chuck for years. I love Chuck. Chuck is probably the guy that I respect.
Right.
Probably in the top 3 guys that I respect in this business more so than anybody. I've traveled with Chuck. I've spent the night with Chuck. He spent the night with me. Our families are close.
Nice.
And have been over the years. Funny story with Chuck, when Missy was pregnant with Dylan, Chuck used to run shows, and went up and worked for him around Winston-Salem,
Okay.
in a little town called Pofftown, right outside of Winston-Salem.
Okay.
And went up, and Chuck was in between. He had the promotion that he was starting. Somebody, they had been borrowing a ring, and it fell through with him. And so he was going. I had one at the time, so he came down to borrow mine. And him and his wife picked it up that night, and we were talking. And he said, "Man, he just kept saying, man, I wish you could come." And I was like, "I know." I said, "Missy's due any day, and I can't. We can't go that far because if something happens, we'll have to get to the hospital." And she was literally due any day.
Wow.
We were right on top of the due date. And Chuck just kind of, like a little kid standing there kicking rocks in the driveway. "Man, I wish you could come. Please come. Missy, please y'all come. If something happens, I'll fly you back home. I'll rent a helicopter and fly you back to the hospital if you really, but please come. I need Thunder to help me set the ring up. Please, please, please." So that took an hour. Finally, at 12 o'clock midnight, Missy said, "Okay, let's go." So we went in the house and packed our stuff and took off to Winston-Salem. Got to Chuck's house about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Went to bed. I get up the next morning to help Chuck go set the ring up. I get up and I ask his wife, "Where's Chuck?" And she said, "Oh, he went to set the ring up. He just left you alone." So he just wanted me at the show. That was all it was.
What a way to do it, right? Missy said, "Hey, Charles King."
Yeah, I love them all dearly, and hold them, in a special place in my heart. So I love you, Chuck.
Without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. Wow.
Chuck you heard me talk about going to Memphis
Yes.
and wrestling the Moondogs.
Yes.
Chuck was my tag team partner that night.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let me ask you this, and I love talking wrestling. If you guys haven't noticed, me and Chris Thunder Anderson can sit and talk wrestling for hours. I have sat and listened to Chris Thunder Anderson for hours and never get bored. The one thing that I want to ask you about, and I kind of touched on it with the other question, but we're going to go more in depth with it here because I love your prerogative and your outlook on wrestling. With a lot of these younger kids that are coming in aren't built like wrestlers. Let's just be honest. A lot of these kids are coming in, they're 110 to 150 pounds. Is there a place in wrestling where, and I don't want to make it sound like they don't have a place in wrestling, but is there a place in wrestling where these kids can thrive? Because a lot of companies aren't letting these kids be like heavyweight champions because of the word heavyweight on their belt and things like that. What do you do, Chris, with these great young talented kids who are basically starting off as cruiserweights?
Well, I'll be honest. I think there's a place in this business for everybody.
Okay.
If they're willing to work. With that being said, I think some of the size can be attributed to just that, putting the work in. Somebody asked me one time, how I'm trying to get bigger, Thunder. How do I gain weight? My advice was get married. That's what did it for me.
It works.
It worked.
It does work.
Before me and Missy got married, I was 255 and was in the gym and everything else. We get married, have kids, and now I'm right at 265, 270 now.
Yeah, and if you don't have a home gym like you do, you're gonna get a lot bigger.
Let's put it that way. I'm more in the kitchen than I am in the gym.
Right, and you got a home gym to make sure that you try to keep those pounds off, right?
That I do. Yes, sir, I do. Right now, it's not set up, so I'm not in there like I was.
Oh, so she can get you now. She can attack you. Go start making them baked goods, Missy.
That's right. Christmas and Thanksgiving was very hard on me.
Oh man.
But going back, I think that if the kids if these guys that are coming into business now are devoted and they put the work in, I think there's a place for them. And there's definitely, like you said, like the group you was talking about earlier,
right?
There's some definite talent in that group. Now, will they be willing to listen to some of this old guys that are trying to help them?
Right.
That's what's going to be the difference in my book. And everybody says this, and I'm, Scott, like you said, me and you've talked wrestling a bunch.
Right.
You know where I stand with that.
Right.
I do think it's our job. I mean, our as in the veterans, these guys that's been doing this 15, 20 plus years. It's our job to get these younger guys ready
Right.
for what's coming later on in their careers, because sooner or later they're going to get to the point where they've been in this business 10 or 15, 20 years, and they're either going to look back and go, why didn't somebody tell me that when I first started? Or they're going to go, I remember sitting in the dressing room with this guy, and they kept telling me, this, and this. And I see that now, because I can tell you from my own experience, sitting in a dressing room with some guys early on, me 2-3 years in, and them sitting and telling me, Thunder, it's the little things, guys. It's the little things. Told me and Blade all the time, it's the little things. And we're just feeding into that. And we're just like, well, what's that mean? What's that mean? And he's like, I can't tell you. Well, what do you mean you can't tell me? Don't sit here and tell me it's the little things and then not tell me what they are.
Right.
And he says, when you've been doing it long enough, you'll figure it out. And
experience should give you the little things, correct? I mean, isn't that?
And that's exactly what he meant.
Right.
Because years later, looking back on it now, I know exactly what he's talking about. And I'll tell you the same thing he told me. I can't tell you what it is, but it's the little things. It's the little things that get you. It's the little things that get you over. It's the little things that make the crowd want to see you versus seeing somebody else, or make them get behind you instead of getting behind somebody else. Can't tell you what that is. It just comes.
Sometimes less is more. I mean, I know we're doing cliches for days, but it is true though. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes people overthink a gimmick or overdo a gimmick, and you know what I'm saying. Sometimes it's good the way it was, or you know.
You don't have to run around the world to get across the street. If that makes sense.
It does. It makes a lot of sense.
A lot of these kids now have, and I've seen it. A lot of other guys have seen it. And we've all kind of laughed about it, and we make fun of them. I do anyway. I'll go ahead and say that. I ain't really shooting on kids. I'm just laughing at them because I watch them go through their matches in the back, and they have their match in the dressing room, and then they go out and forget it all. And somebody don't run the right way, and it throws everything out the window. And you can't do that.
Right.
You give me a solid start and a good, decent finish, we'll fill in the middle, because it's like I tell these kids, what you going to do when that top rope breaks?
Right.
What you going to do if the boards move on you because the ring ain't put together right, and now there's a hole in the middle of the ring?
Right.
What you going to do when you get in the ring and the spider comes loose underneath the ring that holds everything tight, and now the ropes are wet noodles?
Right.
What are you going to do when you go somewhere to a promotion that the ring's not top notch anyway, and the ropes are always, you can't tighten the ropes? And I've watched tons of guys jump up there and fall down because they're trying to do springboard stuff to a rope that won't spring. If the spring's not there, you're not jumping. So, you're not going to turn the flips because you don't have the extra spring to get yourself.
Yeah, the momentum's not there.
Land on their head because of that. What you going to do then? So don't rely on the high flying. Don't rely on running 9 million spots. Rely on basic wrestling, because at the end of the day, that's what people are coming to see.
Right. And you made a good valid point. I don't mean to interrupt you, but you made a good valid point that, things happen during a wrestling match or things happen during a show and you have to adjust. So isn't it a good thing to learn young is to like call a match in the ring, or, to let the veteran call the match and you just follow or what have you, depending on who's in the ring?
Exactly. I'll give you a prime example. Me, the night that I wrestled Big Donnie, the referee for that match, who's been reffing long, came to me and asked me what the finish was, and I said, I don't know. And they said, what do you mean? And I said, just what I said. I said, we'll figure it out. Well, when? I was like, she said, so Donnie's going over, and I said, I don't know what we're doing. So you're going to take the splash, and I'm like, well, what's that supposed to mean? And she's like, well, he's going to, I said, I don't know what we're doing. I said, all I can tell you is this. I said, tonight, you got a front row seat to watch two guys that's been doing this for 20 years that know what they're doing, go out there and wrestle. And you get to be a part of it. So just sit
Exactly.
back and watch.
Exactly.
And I said, and we'll take care of the rest of it. I said, I said, one of us will tell you when we're done.
the bell, when the bell sounds, that'll tell you when you're done.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we did. And when it was over, that referee came to me and was like, I've never been a part of anything like that. She said, y'all scared me to death. And I was like, well, that's wrestling.
There you
And I just
go.
walked away. And it's not a shot at nobody, and it's not me being a jerk or anything like that. But that's what it should be.
Right.
Me and Donnie literally sat in the back all night long and talked about everything but wrestling.
There you go.
And then right before we went out, he said, she said, what are you going to do? I said, let's just go ahead and do this. And he said, okay. And that's exactly what we did.
That's awesome. Luke Fury said, I'm excited you're in the bunkhouse. I always learn from you verbally. So to step in the ring with you will be great too. And you put fire behind it.
Well,
And he said, finally, someone who can give me a challenge. He said, finally, someone who can give me a challenge.
Yeah. Wow. I got a 14-year-old son to give Luke Fury a challenge.
Oh, snap. Okay. There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
A challenge to Luke Fury is using anything other than a colored book.
Oh. I'm pretty sure he's going to have something to say back about that, but that is funny.
Will. That's okay, because that's the same insults I used to use on his daddy. So
oh, snap.
Second generation insults. He's okay.
That's what I'm talking about. There you go.
Listen, I can pick on, like I said, I can pick on Luke because I've watched him grow up.
Right.
And I love the kid. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But Nick, his daddy, used to come in the dressing room and stand in front of me and Blade and talk to us. And he was always punching and kicking and running that jaw and jumping at us and jumping over us and just being crazy. The whole time he talked to you. And it was just like, Nick, sit still. And he just wouldn't. And Luke's not as bad. But he's as mouthy as his daddy ever was. Right. So, I like I said, Luke's got some talent. I love the kid to death, and I love picking on him. And most of you, everybody that knows me knows I'm going to pick on somebody. I got to, because that's just my nature.
Right. Right.
And
you're a bully, and you're a bully, and you're a
bully.
bully.
Thing. If I'm not picking on you, I'm not ribbing you.
That's
chances are I may not like it.
That's right.
I
I get picked on a lot.
So if I'm picking on you, you better take it as okay. I'm okay with him.
Right.
And go that way. You'll know. Let's put it this way. You'll know if I mean.
I get picked on a lot, so I must be really loved. It's all good. Oh my goodness, man. It is awesome. It's always fun to talk to you, man. It really is, because we get the insides and the outs of wrestling, and you tell it straight down, straight down the middle. And I always love asking you questions. I got to ask you this though. I know you might not follow the big wrestling shows like a lot of us do, but I'm pretty sure you've heard the news that the big man, Vince McMahon, is back in WWE, and everybody's making a big fuss about it. What do you think about that whole situation?
I honestly, like I said, you just said it for me. I don't really watch it. My kids do, my boys do.
Okay.
And they kind of fill me in. They've been telling me Vince is coming back. Vince is coming back. I don't care if he comes back or not, as long as he lets Triple H keep running the show. Because what I have seen and what I have watched, it's definitely better,
right,
than it was. It's still got, to me, it's got a ways to go, but Hunter's kind of trying to turn the corner and get it back to what it was.
Right.
As far as the wrestling aspect goes, I mean, we're all in the entertainment industry, whether the old guys want to admit it or not, whether I want to admit it or not. But at the same time, if we don't entertain folks, why are they coming to see us? So I mean, I get it. That part of the business has not left me, in the rain. But at the same time, you still got to make it make sense.
Oh wow! Philip Rollins just told me that Stephanie McMahon has stepped down as CEO since I started the show here. Wow.
Now, is that on TV or is that for real deal?
Apparently it's the real deal from what I'm getting on Facebook, and that she put out a letter. I mean, if it is a work, it's a good work. There,
Yeah.
you
Well,
never know. You
actually-
never know when it
actually,
comes to
one
WWE.
one of my boys told me yesterday, I think, that since Vince is coming back, he's already talking about selling it. Now I don't know why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was told that they are bringing Vince in to sell it. So I
Right.
don't.
But I don't know. Maybe Tony Khan will buy it, and there we go.
Oh my goodness. or maybe the good boy out of Atlanta.
Right. And maybe, just maybe, we can get, if Tony Khan bought it, maybe they could actually do the invasion angle right.
Hey,
and
that
make
would
it
be
make
cool.
sense. So who knows?
Missy said you need to get Charles King on the show. Scotty has a lot of stories to tell you, I am sure. I would love to have Mr. Charles King on the show, without a doubt.
That would definitely be good. Because I can tell you from experience listening to Chuck tell stories. Chuck was trained through Boogie. I can tell you a little bit of background on Chuck from what I know. He was trained with Boogie. He's been doing this for well over 20 years. He's retired now, but he was a wonderful guy in the ring to have as a mentor, and in your corner and to tag with and to work with. Like I said, he ran shows for a while. Great promoter. Had the ability to point guys in the direction he wanted them to go and get them to go there. And at the same time was willing to step back and give us all an opportunity to do what we love and develop our own way of doing it. If that makes sense.
Right.
Chuck had a real good balance of things. And I'll tell you another good rib on Chuck. So, like I said, I ran shows for a while and he ran shows for a while, and we just worked for each other a lot of times. So we went back and forth. And went to work for Chuck one night, and he says, I don't have a lot because we didn't draw good. He said, but I'm going to give you something for coming. And he gave me a roll of quarters. And I said, okay, fine. And this was, back gas was a whole lot cheaper, and it was just me and Missy. So it wasn't no big deal. We both worked too. So, travel was never, an issue. So he gives me a roll of quarters. So about a week or two later, he comes down to work for me. We get done. I give him a roll of quarters, which is the exact same roll of quarters.
I can see where this is going.
He gives me the roll of quarters. 2 weeks later, he comes back and works for me, and I give him the roll. We passed that roll of quarters back and forth for about 6 months.
Now that's a story right there. I love to hear things like that.
And I hate to say this, but finally, me and Missy got in a bind, and we stopped at McDonald's, and we was like, we're using Chuck's quarters.
So Chuck's quarters went for a couple of Big Macs.
So we wound up buying a hamburger and a drink with Chuck's quarters.
There you go. Hey, it was better than a hot dog and a handshake, right?
I broke before he did.
There you go. Well, we're going to go ahead. We're going to show Chris Thunder Anderson's promo against Big Donnie. We're going to put that up here right now. If you guys have any comments or questions for Chris Thunder Anderson right after this, please put him up on the screen. He's going to be here for a little while longer. So here we go. This is Chris Thunder Anderson talking about the bunkhouse.
Big Donnie, we just beat the snot out of each other. But you know what? Come to bunkhouse, it's me and you. One more time, we gonna settle it. Two old school boys that just know how to go out there and do it. We gonna fight till the one of us is only left standing. And that's all I can say about it. And you know what? That piece of gold around your waist, that'll look better on mine than it ever did on yours.
There you go. There you go. You said that belt look a lot better around your waist than his, huh?
That's right. I think it would. That's the only title in NAWA I have not held. So I'm itching.
Oh man, that is so you're gonna be in the championship match, and depending on how the championship match goes, you will or will not be in the bunkhouse stampede. I mean, if you win the championship, there's really no need to be in the bunkhouse, right? Because, well, unless you want to go for another championship, I mean, that
Well,
would make sense.
you never, Scott, you've been around me. You never know what kind of mood I'm going to be in.
You might go out there just to take 10 or 15 out of the bunkhouse and then, go over the top rope yourself, right?
But, hey, listen, like we've been talking about, somebody's got to teach these young kids something. So, what better way to do it?
We're not, but we don't want to teach them how to get a concussion, Chris.
Well, that's true.
and I know your style of teaching when it comes to a match like that. I've seen it firsthand, not at this company, but at another company. I saw another young man we thought was dead. I ain't gonna lie to you, we thought he was dead. You came in and you did your business, and let's just say you could hear that chair shot from about 10 miles away.
Well, I'll be perfectly honest. And this. You can take it for whatever. I guess I could say. I've watched guys use chairs and just kendo sticks and whatever.
Right.
I've watched guys use them. And when I broke into business, the first chair shot I ever took hurt. I'm sorry, it hurt like a Dickens.
Right.
I did kind of laugh when it was over because I was like, "Oh my God, I just got hit with a chair." I'm 6 months into business,
right?
So, yeah,
right.
I'm marked out over that fact that I just got hit with a chair. But I learned early, they hurt, and they're supposed to hurt,
right?
Because they're metal chairs. But a lot of guys swing them like they're going to hurt themselves. I don't want to hurt nobody. Well, if you don't want to hurt nobody, then don't hit nobody with nothing.
Right.
Because it looks like you don't want to hurt nobody with nothing.
Right. If you swing it and you and the fans can tell that you're not putting your heart and soul into the swing, then why are you doing it? Because they're going to make fun of you. For one, they're going to no-sell you if you do.
You've been around us, my family, so
right.
If somebody backs a guy in the corner and chops him, and it don't make enough noise, my wife's the first one to holler. That was weak. And my kids will follow suit as fast as they can. And you know this because you sat with my kids.
Oh, yes.
When it happens.
Oh, yes.
It's the same thing with a chair shot. It's the same thing with kendo sticks. It's the same thing with whatever. If and I'm not saying go out and kill somebody. I'm not condoning.
No,
that.
But if you're going to go out and fight a fight,
make it look like it's supposed to look.
Yeah, exactly. Corey said, "I'll never forget the stop sign shot you gave Tyler Storm."
So, I was at APW and I was involved in the street fight. It was me and Chad Colt, and Jackson Cage, and Bobby Diamond against AJ Frost, Tyler Storm, Chris James, and somebody else. I can't remember who it was.
Okay.
And Squeaks.
Okay.
And so it was just a street fight. So, but Tyler come after me with a stop sign. And in my defense, I did have the stop sign, and I did tell Tyler to stop. I held it up and I said, "Stop." And Tyler stopped, and then I stopped. So
when you yell stop, it never ends well.
no. Well, I mean, like I said, I was just reading the sign, and I stopped it. So that's just like I hit in the bunkhouse last year. I hit Jeff Hart with a stop sign,
right?
And I think I fixed him. For those that know Jeff Hart, he don't act the same.
You said you put him on the straight and narrow with that shot, huh?
I don't know. I uncrossed his eyes. So I hadn't seen Jeff in a while, but I think I fixed him.
Curtis Black said, "Do as Taker said, swing it like you mean it."
That's it.
I have seen Chris Thunder Anderson swing it like he means it, and it hurts.
It's just like going to a baseball game. How many baseball players you seen swing at the ball to hit it like they're going to hit it? I just want to hit it back to the pitcher.
No,
No, I'm,
never.
I'm swinging for the fences.
Right.
Same difference.
They measure how hard baseballs are hit now off the bat, and
Yeah.
some are hit like, I think the hardest ball hit last year in Major League Baseball was like 113 miles an hour off the bat. Could you imagine the torque it takes swinging a baseball bat? And I know, the ball is coming in at 100 miles an hour too, but just, you still got to put some torque behind it to get the ball to go the other way, because the ball is coming 100 miles an hour this way, and you're trying to hit it the opposite way.
Right.
But
I will say this too, Scott. What I have done in the past, I expect back.
right.
In other words, if I hit you, I expect it back, because that's just me.
And that's sort of like the old school way of being brought up into wrestling, right? I mean, if you're gonna give a receipt, you're gonna get a receipt, right?
Right. Well, I mean, it ain't so much receipts.
I mean, if you're gonna get a
do it-
punch, you're
if
gonna
I do
give
it
a
to
punch.
you, and Barbarian said this to me. First time I ever worked with Barbarian, he said this to me. He said, "Whatever I do to you, you do to me."
Right.
He said, "If I clothesline you, you clothesline me. If I body slam you, you body slam me. If I hit you with a chair, you hit me with a chair." And we did that very same stuff. And that's just kind of how it is. I've had my plow cleaned a time or two getting hit with chairs. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I've been knocked a little loopy a time or two by some guys, older guys.
Right.
So I'm not saying I'm out to do all this and I'm not going to get it back. Like I said, I expect it. If I do it, I expect it back. It's on you whether you do it.
Right. I was told a story a few days ago. Somebody, I'm not going to name names because I didn't ask permission to tell the story, but somebody told me a story one time about the Barbarian. Said that they had the Barbarian at their show, and if you know the Barbarian is as stiff as they come. Every story I've ever heard about somebody fighting the Barbarian's going to hit you if he gets in the ring. You're going to get hit.
Oh yeah.
And one of the young boys in the locker room that ended up having to fight him was like, does he hit hard? And the whole locker room busted out laughing. You're gonna find out.
You just have to experience it. I love him. He has turned into one of my friends in this business.
Right.
And a mentor to me in this business as well. Learned a lot from Barb. Love talking to him. Love hearing him tell stories. He's another one that you start telling stories, and with his accent too, it just makes it that much funnier. So my kids have always called him Uncle Barb.
Right.
I will walk into a dressing room and he will literally look at me, and Dylan's my oldest son is 20 years old.
Right.
And he's 6 foot tall. And Barb will still look at me and go, how's the boy? And hold his hand up like knee high. And he still refers to Dylan as that little boy.
Right.
Which is hilarious to me. Of course, now I've met Barb's kids. He has 4 sons, and they're all 6'5", 300 pounds.
Big guys.
And one of them's a dentist. That's hilarious. Seriously, I think it's his oldest son.
Nice.
Is a dentist, and he's 6'7" and 325 or 30 pounds, and has hands that are like bear paws. And I'm like, you're not sticking that hand in my mouth. I'm sorry. I'll knock my own teeth out.
Give me a pair of pliers. I'll do it myself.
That's just hilarious that a man that size is a dentist. That's just funny to me.
Corey said, Scott, I'm going to send you the video of the stop sign shot. Please do, sir. I would love to see it. I always like watching when Chris Thunder Anderson deals out some punishment, man. It's always a fun day. Missy said, you're still loopy.
Yep. She should know.
Oh my gosh. And by the way, belated happy anniversary. I didn't get to call you or tell you, but happy anniversary, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And happy birthday to the wife who had a birthday here just a while back too. So happy birthday, Missy.
About a week ago.
There you go. Don't want to miss any of that. I'll get killed for stuff like that. And Missy said, don't encourage this violence. But why, Missy? It's so much fun. It's fun to watch Chris get out there and just, pummel somebody. And, and when he bends that arm back, I just want to cringe. What made you decide to use that move, man? You got to tell me the story about the first time you ever decided to use that. Did it get used on you first, or how did that come about?
Well, I think that me and you had talked about it one time before.
Okay.
So I saw it it was a WCW pay-per-view, and it was Dean Malenko and Rey Mysterio was working.
Okay.
And Dean was working Ray's arm and just, going to town on it. And I know you're a fan of Dean, as am I.
Yes.
And just watching him work that arm over, and then he did something, and he bends his arm back, and I think he actually dropped the elbow or something on
Right.
A knee or something. He did it a little different than I did, but I saw it and I was like, oh snap! I got to look at that again. Excuse me. So I rewound the tape and watched it. I wound up watching it 2 or 3 times.
Right.
And I was like, I can make that mine. And so I just kind of started doing it.
Yeah, you start manipulating that arm or working on that arm in some of the matches I've seen you, and then you get them on their back, and that's when it happens. You just curl that arm back, and you stomp on that elbow.
I've never really said we're going to do this and
right.
told people about it. I've got a buddy of mine that I've wrestled for years, off and on for years, and love working with him. But every time we wrestle, he says, "Don't you do that to me."
Right.
And I'm like, what? He's like, "Don't do that arm thing to me." I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take it. If you set it up, I'm going to roll out of the ring. But he never does. He always takes it. And right before I do it, I look at him and smile and go, "I love you." And he's like, "And I hate your guts." And
I hate your guts.
And so
that's how you make lifelong friends in wrestling, right? Don't do that move on me. Don't do that move on me in the middle of the ring. I love you. Here comes the move.
And I know I'm selling everything out because everybody thinks I'm just this whatever, but I'll be funny. I'll tell you another funny one. The night that me and Big Donnie worked, it was cold in the fairgrounds in Morganton.
Right.
They're not really outside, but there's no heat in the building.
Okay.
So it was cold. And Donnie backed me in the corner, and I looked at him and I said, "Donnie, you better not chop me." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Because it's too cold." And what does he do? He chopped me. He chopped me 5, 6, 7, 8 times during the match. But every time he chopped, and Donnie can chop. I'm not knocking that at all. I don't like him. I don't chop. My wife makes fun of me every time I chop somebody. I had a guy named Brian Linder years ago, was sitting next to me in a dressing room, and me and him were talking, and the kid that I was going to wrestle walks up, and he's like, "Just sometime during the match, man, why don't you back me in the corner and just chop me?" And Brian just starts laughing. And the kid's like, what's so funny? And Brian looks at him and goes, "Dude," and I didn't say anything. Brian just looked at him and said, "Kid, Thunder don't chop." And he said, "He don't." And Brian said, "No." He said, "But man, if he rears back with that right hand," he said, "you better close your eyes."
I love that. But if he rears back with that right hand, you better close those eyes.
So nobody ever really needs to worry about me chopping anybody. If I throw one, it's because I got caught up in the moment. They're probably not going to hurt. That's probably the least thing I do that hurts. Let's put it that way.
Wow, and that's saying something because I know most of your moves hurt.
Yeah, but if I do chop you and it don't hurt, I promise you I'll make up for it.
Right,
with something else.
Without a doubt, man. I'm telling you, this has been a great interview so far. I'm going to go through the bunkhouse information, ask you a few more questions about the bunkhouse, and then we're going to get out of here because I know you are busy. You just got off work and stuff like that. So, and I appreciate you doing the call-in show, man.
Oh, no problem.
I know the audio stuff out there where you live is choppy. Where we live in Chesney, we are right at the end of the line for people who have internet. We're the only people with internet on our road. That'll tell you. So I feel your pain. any little thing happens on this cable line, ours gets shut off automatically because we're at the end of the line. So,
Yeah.
but all right, let's go through all the Stampede because this is what we're here talking about. The NAWA 7th Annual Bunkhouse Stampede is going to be this Saturday night, January 14th at the American Legion Hall, 401 West Main Street Northwest, Lenore, North Carolina. Doors open at 6, bell time at 7. Adults $10 at the door. Kids 6 to 12 pay $5. With a paid adult, kids under 6 get in free. One of the matches is going to be for the NAWA title. It's going to be a Texas bull rope match. Chris Thunder Anderson, who we're talking to right now, is challenging Big Donnie for the NAWA title. In other action, there's going to be a fatal 4-way elimination match for the NAWA Tag Team Championships. It's going to be the Kindred versus Black Society versus the champions, the Allens, versus Cairo and Zay. Also, there's going to be a 6-man tag team match. Dre, who we're going to be interviewing tomorrow, Big Nasty, Mr. Matthews versus Squeaks, Fury, and Benj. And then, of course, there's going to be the NAWA TV title match. AJ Frost is going to be defending against Johnny Arida and that shotgun right arm. You don't want to miss any of the action. Chris, are you looking forward to this match against Big Donnie?
I am. I like me and you have talked about before. I don't get excited about a whole lot, but I'm really looking forward to this one.
I mean, this is for all the marbles. You get to walk around as the face of the company if you beat Big Donnie. I mean, is that huge nowadays, or is that like just a fad for the old I don't want to say it, I don't want to say it the wrong way. Is being a champion nowadays in the face of the company, is it as important now as it used to be back in the older days of wrestling?
To me, I think it is.
Okay.
And I think because again, my mindset, my way of thinking, being
Right.
The old guys now that just kind of are there. I think that I don't want to say the face of the company. Let's put it that way. But
Right.
I do think that as the heavyweight champion, you represent the company
Okay.
on the shows and wherever you go with it. And so I do think that there's a certain amount of professionalism that goes with that.
Right.
Outside the ring and outside the promotion, away from the show at the same time, because people see you, and most of us, I'll be honest, most of us in independent wrestling are all just pretty much regular guys. We all have
Right.
regular jobs. None of us really do this for a living, even though we all would love to do that and have that opportunity. But I do think that if people see you out in town and they know that you're the champion of whatever champion you are, TV champ, tag champ, heavyweight champ, cruiserweight champ, whatever.
Right.
I do think that you have to hold yourself a little bit more accountable in front of those fans, regardless of where you are. But especially, at the shows and all that. And that's just, old school thinking to me. But it's our job as champions across the board. We're the ones that are responsible for drawing the crowd.
Right.
And making those titles, and I think that's the thing. That's the kicker, is everybody's a belt mark. Oh, I want to be champion. I want to be this champion. I want to be that champion. It's not so much about being champion as it is, can you make that championship mean something?
Right.
And I say this not being cocky or arrogant, but I was, and I am, as far as I know, still the longest reigning NAWA TV champion there has been.
Nice.
I was champion for over a year. I brought back the $10,000 challenge.
Ooh. Now them are the challenges back in the day that I used to like to watch, man. When you put a briefcase up on there, you do a ladder match for $10,000 or hair versus hair, things like that.
No ladder match. I carried $10,000 in my bag, and you had 10 minutes to beat me.
Oh, okay. Well, that's there's many ways to do it, but
that's a straight page out of Tully Blanchard's playbook.
Right.
Go back and watch, NWA 84, 85 when Tully was TV champ.
Right.
And he walked that on TV and he flashed the money and he said, "You got 10 minutes to beat me, not only for this belt, but for this money."
There you
Um, and I defended that belt and that money every week, or at least every other week, on TV for over a year.
Nice.
And Johnny Ryder had his opportunity, and he couldn't get it done. Yeah, people will say, well, there's video of Johnny beating you. Yeah, Johnny did beat me, but he beat me in 12 minutes.
There you
He
go.
didn't beat me in 10.
He didn't beat you in 10.
So not only, he might have won the match, but he didn't win the belt. And he sure didn't win my money. So, but I took that belt and I put it where it needed to be, was the
Right.
forefront.
There you go.
It was the TV champs, on TV. And he's wrestling anybody and everybody. And I did. And I think that's what champions do. Heavyweight champions, and the previous heavyweight champions. I'll go back to Adam James. Adam did the same thing with the heavyweight title, in my opinion. He made that belt credible. Donnie is another one, Big Donnie. That's the reason I'm going after it. It means something.
Right.
When me and Black Angel years ago won the first time we won the NAWA Tag Team Champions, we made those belts mean something. You have to remember, Scott, I've been NAWA Tag Team Champion 7 different times with 3 different partners.
Nice.
So me and the Golden Gladiator, me and Black Angel, me and Brady Hawks, we all made those belts mean something to not only the fans, but to the company. They knew that when we stepped in the ring with those belts, we backed up everything we were supposed to be. We were the champions, whether they liked it or not. And I think a lot of guys sometimes miss that opportunity. They
Right.
get stuck on I'm champion, but they don't know really what that entails and what comes with that. You're held to, in my mind, you're held to a higher standard.
Right.
Your matches should be better than the guys that are not champions.
Well, they should be, because I mean, if you got the heavyweight championship, most of the time you're headlining the poster. I mean, you're right dead center in the middle of a poster.
Right. And I'm okay with that. There's exceptions to the rule.
Right.
I think me and you probably touched on that before.
Right.
As far as your heavyweight match don't
Right.
always have to be main event.
Right.
It's okay to have a tag match as the main event. It's okay to have the ladder match or the strap match or
Right.
whatever,
Right. But if they do, they better
matches.
have a story behind it. I mean, for
Right.
the fans,
Yeah,
they
that's
better,
the difference.
if they're going to be above the heavyweight championship match, there's a storyline there.
Right. That's just like, the NAWA show, the bunkhouse. The spotlight's on the bunkhouse.
Right.
Naturally.
Right.
And that's as far as I know, that's the main event. But those other matches that are there, like you was talking about the 6-man, there's a little bit of a feud there with some guys. The tag match, that's
Tons of feuds in that tag match. And there's even a tag team that isn't even involved in it that's making it a feud.
Right. That's carrying some weight.
Right.
Again, prestige on those tag titles. They mean something to those boys.
Right.
And that's a good thing. And that's what I'm talking about. If it don't mean anything to you, it's not going to mean anything to anybody else.
Right.
And of course the TV title match with AJ and Johnny. This is Johnny's second, third, fourth opportunity he's had to be TV champion. I'm not a fan of Johnny Ryder. I respect him. AJ Frost is, I've known AJ for years. I hope he comes out on top. I don't think he's the champ I was, but that's okay. Nobody is. I'm just putting myself over with that. I don't mean that. I gotta throw something out there about AJ because I love AJ.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see how those matches go.
Right. It's going to be
like I said, the match I'm the most excited about is the one I'm in.
Right.
And I'm not kidding when I tell you it's going to be different. Me and Donnie may just tear into each other and we may scare the far out of some people. Because like I said, I know how Donnie is. I know how he is in the ring. He don't care. And he's tough as nails. he might be the toughest. He might be the second toughest man in that dressing room, only second to me. And we're going to find out. We're going to
Exactly.
find out at the bunkhouse on Saturday who the toughest man in the dressing room is, one way or the other.
That's it.
Whether it's me and Donnie go out there and we settle it, or whether one of us has to climb in that bunkhouse and show these other boys who the Bull of the Woods is.
Right.
And that's just kind of what it comes down to.
That's what I'm talking about. Chris, Dump Truck said, Thunder, you're the man. Joey Godfrey, owner of HWA, said, what's up, Thunder? I'm going to be making an announcement about HWA at the end of this show. Doc Payne said, what's up? What's going on, Doc Payne? He's doing it on YouTube. Thank you, Doc Payne, for coming on YouTube. Go over there and subscribe to hashtag Truth, please. Nick Rampage Mage said, the Allen brothers doesn't deserve the tag titles. Cairo and Zay Vega deserve them. Okay, we're going to find out because like my mama said, it's all going to come out in the wash. It's all going to come out in the wash. When them teams get together for that fatal four-way, and of course, you know, you got Fast and the Frost and the Furious out there wandering around. You know, they've got a really good tag division there at NAWA. It's exciting to watch right now. There's a lot of talk, and you've seen it this week on hashtag Truth. And Chris Thunder Anderson, that's one thing I have to say. What do you think about the guys that come out and do all the talking? Are you a guy who, I mean, when you talk, people listen, but do you think some people talk too much?
I do.
It's just honest question. I know how you feel. I know the answer, but I just want to hear you say it.
Well, I'll be honest. I think that, you know, the promos and stuff are good.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. You know, a lot of times I get caught up in life and can't do them like I want to. 4 guys, you know, I've been asked to do a couple and just, you know, can't work out time-wise. And usually when I get home, you know, from work or whatever, something, you know, life gets in the way.
Right. I mean, you got a family.
You know,
there's going to be things that's going to happen.
And it's, you know, sometimes it's hard.
Right.
To cut them. But, you know, you got to sometimes. And I think that mine and Donnie's matches is going to speak for itself.
Right.
Like I said, I think that people are in for something when they see us go at it, because like I said, this is two old veterans. I'm going to go out there and get it done. And show people some things. But it's like I said earlier too, you know, there's some talent, man. There's some talent in that NAWA dressing room. And in that locker room on both sides of the fence, you know, with the bad guys and the good guys, there's some talent. And I know that if I go to naming guys, you know, I'm going to forget somebody and they'll probably take it as a slight coming from me. And
right.
You know, so I'm not going to sit here and go through the roster.
Right.
But I watch, you know, these guys and I, you know, a lot of times I call them all kids, you know, and you know, I guess if you're younger than me, then you're a kid as far as I go. You know, I'm an old guy now.
I mean, I look at it in wrestling years. If you haven't been in the business as long as you have the right to call them a kid.
Yeah, but I'm, you know, and it's no disrespect.
It's not a slight. No, it's not a slight at all.
I know, man. And a lot of these kids, you know, again, you know, a lot of folks, and you know this, just from being around me.
Right.
A lot of guys don't know how to take me anyway. You know, I say what's on my mind most of the time. I have gotten better or tried to get better.
Right.
If not doing that as much.
Hey, I've learned when it comes to you and me and your friendship, be direct and be honest.
That's it. And that's just, you know, I mean, and I'm not going to say nothing to folks unless I mean it.
Right.
And by that, I mean, I'm just trying to help you get better.
Right.
If I think enough of you to tell you something, and I tell guys this all the time, don't just listen to me. You listen to everybody else too. But
right.
you take the good with the bad, and you take it all with a grain of salt and learn who to listen to and who not. And I told a kid one time, I can't remember who it was, but I told him, I said, you don't have to listen to me. I said, but I'm gonna tell you who to listen to. And he said, who? And I said, the next guy that comes and gives you advice on anything. Watch what he does in the ring. And he looked at me kind of funny and he said, what do you mean? I said, if that guy goes out and does what he told you to do and it works, then chances are you can listen to him. I
Right.
said, but if he sits back here and tells you what to do, and you watch him in the ring, and he don't come close to what he told you to do, why are you gonna listen to him? Because it don't work, right?
Yeah, it makes
And
sense.
the
That
kid was
makes
like,
total sense.
that makes sense. And I was like, okay, then I said, that's how you know who to listen to, who not. You watch what they do in the ring.
And
You
for
watch what
people
they
who don't
do.
understand what he's talking about, I'll give you another reference. We used baseball before. I'm going to use baseball again. If you have a guy who's up there hitting 333 in baseball, which is excellent, and he's up there at bat and he's batting, and then there's a kid over there who's having a slump, and the guy walks over and says, "Hey, do this," you know. Are you going to listen to the guy who comes up who's batting 125? Or are you going to listen to the guy who's batting 333? You're going to
Right.
listen to the one that's batting 333. I think that's kind of what you're saying. Listen to the guys who are giving you advice, but then they're using that same advice in the ring.
Yeah. That's why, I mean, I'm careful with who I talk to and what I say, or I try to be. But, and only because I don't take getting blown off easy. If I'm taking the time to tell you something and trying to help you, I don't take too kindly to you blowing me off.
Right.
Because the next time you come to me and ask me something, you probably ain't gonna like what I tell you.
Right.
Give you a prime example. I had a kid do that. I went, I saw some potential in the kid, and I talked to him and tried to help him out. Told him, hey, you need to work on this, do this a little different. And he literally, Scott, looked at me and was like, what have you ever done? And I went, I'm sorry, what? And he was like, well, I'm just saying, you ain't never really been nowhere, have you? And I'm like, kid,
Wow.
and I've said this for years,
Wow.
there's no, and I make no apologies, and I'm not ashamed of it. Can you put WCW or ECW or WWE or AEW or anything like that next to my name? No. But I'm gonna tell you this: I've wrestled some of the top guys in the business. I've been on some shows that some guys dream about being on, with some talent that guys wish they could see other than TV.
Right. Right.
I've
And that's not
wrestled
bragging.
with
That's just the truth. That's just the
and I will
truth.
say this is, the only thing that will ever top me wrestling in the Mid-South Coliseum with Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee and Billy Mandel and the original Moondogs might be working with Ric Flair in the Charlotte Coliseum.
You keep
That would be
naming
the
names
only
like
thing.
that, I'm gonna scream like a little girl because that was my era.
And you can't, like I said, you can't take stuff that I've done in this business away from me.
Right.
I don't care who you are and what you
Exactly.
say, because I've done it. I've been there. I'm speaking from experience. It's not me just blowing smoke, at guys. But I had a guy literally, like I said, blow me off, and I was like, okay. So I saw him probably 3, 4, 5 months down the road. I saw him, and he walked by me, and he was like, "What do you think about that, Thunder?" I was like, and I just looked at him and I said, "You really want me to tell you?" And he was like, "Yeah, I want to know." And I was like, "You suck." And he just looked at me and he was like, "What?" He's like, "You're kidding." And I was like, "No, I'm not kidding." I was like, "You're worse now than you was 6 months ago when I tried to tell you what to do different." I said, "And you didn't listen to me then." I said, "So I'm not wasting my breath on you now." I said, "So best thing you can do is sell your boots, you got a business."
And that's a shame, not for you, but for him.
Yeah.
That you would burn a bridge like that. I mean, most young wrestlers will take advice. They might not will listen to it, I'll say. They might not take it, but they'll listen to it. And they'll be respectful about it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you have a person that bluntly looks at you and says, if you're a veteran, if you've been in the business longer than that kid, and that kid looks at you and goes, "Well, who are you? Where have you been?" That right there tells me you've got the worst attitude ever. I don't even want to deal with you.
Right. I actually, a couple of weeks ago, I'm trying not to name no names, but a couple of weeks ago, well, we went to WrestleCade
Right. Right.
this past year. And we saw a guy up there, and he got to work. I think he worked a show, maybe. I think he did wind up working one of the shows that they had, because it's like 3 days long and they have 900 shows.
Right.
But anyway, I think he got to work one of the shows. And I've worked with him at NAWA and a couple other places. I hadn't seen him in a while, but he was there. And just kind of we passed by him and spoke, and he was just kind of like, and I was like, okay, kid, be that way. And just kind of took it as okay, So about a month ago, I did a show with him, or he was there, and when the match was over, he came to me, which was shocking to me, and he was like, and he actually said, Thunder, I'm sorry, about WrestleCade. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, he said, I'll be honest. He said, I didn't recognize you. He said, I hadn't seen you in so long. He said, I really didn't recognize you. He said, or I wouldn't have talked to you the way I did. He said, I apologize. And then he turned right around and said, since I'm talking to you, what do I need to do different? Which was a shock to me.
That's cool though. That's saving face. That's that's saving face.
And so I sat there and talked to him. And
Dre White's really curious. He said, "Who was it, Thunder?" He really wants to know.
Tell him when I see him, I'll tell him.
Okay, Dre White, when he sees you, he'll tell you, brother.
When I see you, Dre, I'll tell you. I don't want to throw no names out.
That's it. I'm one of those guys too. If I don't have permission to tell the story or whatever, I'm not gonna throw a name out there either.
I'm just trying to be nice, Scott. I don't really ask for permission.
I got you.
Sometimes I live by the "it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission."
There you go.
Mantra anyway. But
there you go.
But Dre, I will say this: Dre's one, and I love Dre. I think the world of him. He's one that when you see him, he's the same guy. Saw him at WrestleCade. He helps out with, of course he helps George during WrestleCade week. Set up, tear down, work security, does whatever that Tracy and Brian and George need him to do during WrestleCade. Always looks sharp as a tack when you see him at the show. Nice suits, dressed to the nines. Got tons of respect for Dre. And I aggravate him about it. Then he actually got to work this past year. He got to work WrestleCade, so I was very proud of him for that. Looked good doing it. Just tons of respect for Dre. But Dre's
a smart guy. Dre's a smart guy. I got to tell my little Dre story. First time I saw Dre in person, it was at a show they were doing for me back a little while back. I can't remember the name of the show, but I'm a chess player, so I had my chessboard out. And Dre shows up. He pulls up in his car. He gets out. He walks up. He goes, "Man, you play chess?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, let's play a game of chess. And he beat me in 4 moves. I was so embarrassed. It hasn't happened since. He'll tell you it hasn't happened since.
Right.
But he whooped my tail in 4 moves. I ain't gonna lie to nobody. Very smart guy, very smart wrestler, good wrestler, smart guy. I love talking to Dre when I'm at a wrestling show, whether for my show or just straight up having a conversation with him about wrestling. He really loves wrestling.
Yeah, he does, and he's another one that will listen. I've been fortunate enough to talk to, like I said, some of these younger guys. And I'm not gonna, and I'll go ahead and say this. Jackson Cage is another kid.
Right.
First time he ever asked me for advice, and I just kind of gave him a little bit, but he came back and was like, okay, so I did that. What do I need to do next? What do I need to do now? What do I need to do now? And he calls me pretty much on a regular basis and asks me questions about wrestling.
Nice.
Different things. What do I do in this situation? What do I need to do with this? And if I reach out to him and say, look, I saw this match, or I saw this comment, or whatever, you need to do this, you need to stay away from this. He's receptive. He takes it in like a sponge. So I love Jax.
Right. Jack's insane to me. Has one of the best gimmicks in our area. I love his gimmick without a doubt.
Who?
Jack's insane?
No, I'm talking about Jackson Cage.
I know. I'm just saying. I was just.
Oh yeah. Oh, and Jack Sane's another one.
Mm-hmm.
That I've talked to over the years and listened and he'll listen.
Right.
And he does well. I love Jax. Too. Brino. I hate to put Brino on. But Brino's one.
Brino's a really good wrestler.
Conversation with Brino, and he may tell you this out of his own mouth. And I'm not asking for permission. I'll just tell him. first time I ever talked to him, I was just kind of like, "Hey, kid, do this different." He gave me that. Who are you to tell me what? And I said, "Okay." And he's another one that the next time I watched him work, he said, "What do you think about that?" And I just kind of blew him off. I didn't answer him.
Right.
And he asked me 3 different times, and finally on the third one, I said, "I don't know that you want to know what I think." And he said, "Yeah, I wouldn't ask you if I didn't." And I said, "Okay." And I went over and tore him apart. And told him what he did wrong, everything he did wrong. And I said, "Now you can take this and learn it, or you can take it and tell everybody I'm full of it and go on."
Right.
I don't care if you take the advice or not. But to his credit, he did. And since then, the respect for Brino Royce, in my mind, has grown. Now, every time I see him, he's asking me questions, and he's like, "Hey, did you see me work this match, or did you see what I did with this, or what can I do different? What can I do better?" And he's been, and I think that comes with time, with any of us, because I know at one point I was probably just as cocky in the same way.
Right.
But that comes with time. And I think now he's to the point where, yeah, he gets it, and he's learning, and he's listening. And he's listening to some guys that know, and he's listening, and he don't always listen to the guys that don't, and that's a good thing.
Right.
I got respect for Brino as well.
Without a doubt.
So a lot of these guys, like I said, a lot of these guys I give a hard time to, but it's because I want them to succeed, and I want them to learn, and I want them to have fun while they're doing it.
Dre White said he's
it's-
humbled by what you said, and he also said, "I met you in Kings Mountain, Scott, 4 years ago." You probably did. I don't remember. I have a really bad memory, but okay. If you say so, I believe you.
And there's just been so many guys over the years that I've run across, and you talking about HWA a while ago, Brian Thrill,
Right.
that works there. He's another one. Met Brian years ago. Brian had some opportunities, in his career later on, and was able to do some stuff, and kudos to him. But he was one, when he first broke in and he started, he came to me, and was asking questions and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to take credit for anybody's success in business.
Right.
If I helped them, great. If I didn't, maybe they learned something. If nothing else, maybe they learned what not to do.
Right.
From me, but I'm not taking the credit or the blame for
Right,
anybody's career.
But you do help. But you
say
do
it,
help the younger kids, is what you're saying. I understand what you're doing. You
it's
do
just
help
like, and
if they ask.
like I said, when I was coming up, when I first broke in, the Terminators, Rex and Spike, set me and Blade down and told us, this is what you need to do different. WT Broadwell was a referee, and WT would tell us, and he would coach us in the ring. Scott, he would tell us in the
While
ring,
the match was going.
"Don't do this. Don't do that yet. Don't
Wow.
come back yet. Keep selling. Okay, it's time for y'all to come back. You better get your stuff.
Take it home."
Yeah.
Right.
JD Soul would sit and drop knowledge on us and talk to us. Brody Chase, Jay Eagle, all these guys, man, that I was fortunate enough to learn from, that I took bits and pieces away from them.
Right.
And they helped me so much in the business, and that's and like I said, you've heard me say this, that's where I'm at. 26 years,
And that's what I love.
June.
That's what I love in talking with you. And we're of course, we're going over the NAWA Bunkhouse Stampede and everything. And you got a big match, and you're still, all these accolades around you, and you're still willing to help everybody. That's what I love. And I've never ever, not one time have I ever walked up to you, shook your hand, and not sat there for 20, 30 minutes waiting for a story or hearing a story or like you're doing with us tonight. And I love it, dude. I'm going to tell you, I could sit down
a
for
lot of people go, "I wish he'd just shut up."
no, I could sit for a whole day and listen to you tell stories and tell you. I've seen the pictures on your phone to back up your stories. I've seen you're legit, man. And I can honestly say that a lot of people will tell stories and they ain't got nothing to back it up. You've got photos, you've got, a way to if you tell a story, you got a way to prove it. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I love that about you.
Thank you. Like I said, I'm just trying to help out, man. Just like I said,
We've been
this
talking.
June-
We've been talking so well. We've been going on for an hour and 20 minutes, bro. Do you believe that?
This June will be 27 years I've been in the business.
27 years.
And you know, and it's like I said, I'm to the point now where, you know, it's my job to give back. Make no mistake, I'm not getting soft in my old age, and I'm not going to go out here and lay down for some of these kids.
Right.
I notice I said teach. I didn't say I was going to put you over.
Right.
If you work with me, you're going to earn it. I'm not over the hill yet when it comes to this business. I can still go. I may
Right.
not go as fast as I used to, but I can still go.
Right.
And I can turn it on when I need to.
And you could tell the story in the ring, which
That's
is
right.
another
That's the
whole
thing.
episode.
It don't matter how fast I go when I do it,
Right.
but I can still do it.
That's
And
exactly.
as long as I can do that, I'm going to keep right on trucking.
Well, I hope so. I don't want to see you lace up them boots for the last time for quite a while, man. I think you still got a few good years in you, man, without a doubt. And I'm pretty sure your family enjoys watching you.
This past week, I'm just going to say it. This past week, I've heard some stuff, and I've seen some stuff, and I've been told some stuff, and you know, there's been some words said as far as I'm concerned that was kind of, I guess, directed at me.
Mhm.
As being washed up and has been, this, that, and the other. But the funny part is those folks that say that about me couldn't carry my bag. And I say that because they lasted 5 minutes in the business and never did a quarter of anything I did. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to be cocky when I say stuff like that.
Right.
I'm just being honest.
Right.
Don't tell me how I'm washed up and I'm a has-been when you was only in the business for 3 years and you spent 2.5 of it begging for bookings because nobody wanted to use you because you were horrible. And if you got questions about who that was, I'll tell you when this is over.
I got you. I got you.
Because I shouldn't say this, but I won't say it. I'll get in trouble.
Yeah, wait till this is over, and I'll call you back, and we'll have a conversation for a few minutes.
I ain't necessarily worried about getting in trouble over here, but my wife will come out of her bed and beat me.
I got you.
So,
No, we don't want that to happen. Not while you're live on the phone. No, please no. Well, Chris, man, it was a pleasure having you on #Truth, man. I always love having you on. Sorry you couldn't get the internet going so we could see your face, but I'm glad that you called in. And if
this might be the best thing you could have done.
Hey, I might do a few more of these, man. This is pretty cool. I mean, they can't see your face, but they can still ask the questions, comment, and you're hearing the comments through me, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's all good, man. But I appreciate you coming on, man. I cannot wait to hear about. Unfortunately, I won't be there, but I can't wait to hear about your championship match and the whole Bunkhouse Stampede. I'm going to give all the information out as we go off the air here, and good luck with your match this weekend or matches.
Scott, I appreciate it. And again, I just want to say thank you for everything that you do as far as helping some of these promotions get their names and stuff out there. NAWA, I know I can speak for promoters at NAWA when I say we appreciate everything you've done for them and doing this.
Well, I appreciate everything Michael Elliott and NAWA has done for me, man.
That's going to be part of the show. And I know I can probably speak for Joey too when I talk about how good you are about HWA and their stuff.
Right.
So I just appreciate everything.
HWA is always going to be home to me, brother. No matter where I go, I'm always the HWA fan club president. Nobody's taking that title away from me.
I hear you.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and give the information about the Bunkhouse one more time before we go. NAWA 7th Annual Bunkhouse Stampede is going to be this Saturday night, the 14th, at the American Legion Hall, 401 Main Street, Northwest, Lenore, North Carolina. Doors open 6, bell times at 7. Adults $10 at the door, kids 6 to 12, $5. Under 6 years old, get in free with a paid adult. We've been talking to Chris Thunder Anderson tonight. He's going to challenge Big Donnie for the NAWA championship in a Texas bull rope match at the Stampede. Also, there's going to be a fatal 4-way elimination match for the NAWA Tag Team Championships, it's going to have the Kindred, Black Society, the Champions, the Allens, and Cairo and Zay going up for them that gold, man. And then there's going to be a 6-man tag match. A lot of combinations of feuds going on here. We got Dre, Nasty, and Matthews versus Squeaks, Fury, and Binge. That's going to be a great match. And also for the NAWA TV title, AJ Frost is defending against Johnny Ryder. A lot of great matches. And of course, the 30-man over-the-top battle royal, the Stampede itself. They're going to be bringing weapons. It's every man for themselves. The winner of that gets to pick a championship match, gets a whole year to pick a championship match. So you never know when they're going to turn that in, when they're going to come out and do it. That's the great thing about the Stampede, and it's going to be great to watch, ladies and gentlemen. So please go and watch the Bunkhouse Stampede. Also, before I go, I'm getting winded, man. This is an hour and 20. I haven't done an hour and 25 minutes in quite a while.
60 minute man, Scott.
I'm telling you, man, I got to suck it up. But also HWA is going to be on the 14th, also out at Rutherfordton, 217 Gilkey School Road. I don't have the poster loaded up right now, but tomorrow before the next hashtag truth, I'm going to be doing an HWA show, and I'm going to put out some information. So you guys might want to check that out. I might even have a wrestler or two to put on there talking about the show on the 14th. So please go and check that out. Some changes coming to HWA. I've been getting questions all over the place about it. What the one thing I'm going to tell you is go find out. If you're that interested, go find out, because changes are coming, ladies and gentlemen, and I am very excited about it. They don't tell me everything, but what they have told me, I'm very excited about, and I have a feeling we'll be seeing Chris Thunder Anderson at a few more places.
Yeah.
So
I am set to make my return.
there you go. So
I think on a little bit later in January, but we'll cross that bridge when we get a little bit closer.
there you go. That's what I'm talking about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and don't forget, hashtag truth is on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. You can go watch me on YouTube also. As a matter of fact, in the near future, I'm working on getting my own website where I'll be getting totally off of Facebook and YouTube. You can go on, you can check out all the old episodes, check out the new episodes. I will be giving more information on that soon. That is in the works. So, ladies and gentlemen, please come out and check out my boy Chris Thunder Anderson as he goes up against Big Donnie for the NAWA World Heavyweight, the championship at NAWA. I always want to say world. Why is that, man?
Because that's what's been associated with a heavyweight title.
Right. Most all the time it's world, but NAWA championship.
I'll be honest, if a championship means that much to you, that you're willing to go through what me and Big Donnie's about to go through, it is the world too. So it might as well be the world heavyweight title.
I like that analogy. I think I'm going to use that next time somebody asks me about that. I love that. All right, guys. Chris Thunder Anderson. Please go out and support him at any indie show that he's at. He's a good friend of mine, and that is the hashtag truth. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow night with Mr. Dre White.
Thanks, everybody.